Welcome to English Total, the podcast designed to take your English from good to extraordinary, while diving deep into different areas of interest. Today we are looking back at a television phenomenon that defined an entire decade. It was a show that turned flashlights into iconic props and made every viewer look at the night sky with a mix of wonder and absolute terror. Put on your trench coat and dim the lights. We are exploring the dark, mysterious world of the X-Files. In the early 1990s, the television landscape was somewhat predictable. You had family sitcoms, shiny lawyer dramas, and traditional police procedurals where the bad guy was always caught by the end of the hour. But a former surfing magazine editor turned screenwriter named Chris Carter wanted to tap into something deeper and more unsettling. The inspiration for the show didn't come from a science fiction novel, but from a real-world statistic. Carter had read a psychological report stating that approximately 3.7 million Americans believed they had been abducted by extraterrestrials. Rather than dismissing this as madness, Carter saw a narrative goldmine. He wanted to create a show that didn't just deal with aliens, but with the fear of the unknown and the creeping suspicion that the government isn't telling us everything. The pilot episode premiered on September 10th, 1993. It was dark, moody, and cinematic, unlike anything else on the Fox network at the time. It introduced us to two FBI special agents who would become the most famous duo in television history, Fox Mulder and Dana Scully. The heart of the show's success was its character dynamic. Mulder and Scully were not just partners, they were two opposing philosophies living in the same car. Fox Mulder, played by David Duchovny, was an Oxford-educated psychologist and a brilliant profiler. However, he was driven by a personal trauma, the disappearance of his sister, Samantha, whom he believed was taken by aliens when they were children. This obsession earned him the nickname Spooky Mulder among his colleagues. He was the believer, guided by intuition and a desire to find the truth at any cost. To balance him, the FBI assigned Dana Scully, played by Gillian Anderson. Scully was a medical doctor and a firm believer in the scientific method. Her original mission was actually quite cynical. Her superiors wanted her to use her scientific background to debunk Mulder's work and bring him back to reality. This conflict created a perfect narrative tension. Every week, Mulder would propose a supernatural theory, and Scully would provide a logical, biological, or physical explanation. This skeptic versus believer trope became the blueprint for dozens of shows that followed. It is hard to imagine anyone else as Dana Scully today, but the casting process was a battle. The executives at Fox were hesitant about Gillian Anderson. In the 90s, networks often pushed for bombshell archetypes, actresses who fit a very specific, glamorous Hollywood mold. They wanted someone taller, blonder, and more traditionally attractive. Chris Carter stood his ground. He insisted that Scully needed to be an intellectual equal to Mulder. He wanted an actress who could deliver complex medical jargon with total authority. Carter won the fight, and in doing so, he helped shift the way women were portrayed on screen. Scully wasn't a damsel in distress. She was often the one saving Mulder with her logic and her service weapon. On the other hand, Fox Mulder, portrayed with a perfect blend of dry wit and vulnerability by David Duchovny, redefined the archetype of the television hero in the 1990s. Unlike the stoic, rule-following lawmen of previous decades, Mulder was an anti-authoritarian outsider, a brilliant man willing to sacrifice his career and reputation for a cause the world deemed crazy. His relentless pursuit of the truth, driven by the childhood trauma of his sister's disappearance, resonated with a generation that was becoming increasingly cynical toward government institutions and traditional narratives. Mulder's impact on pop culture was profound. He popularized the lovable conspiracy theorist and showed that being an outcast with an obsession could actually be heroic. Even today, his iconic "I Want to Believe" poster remains a universal symbol for anyone who feels that there is more to reality than what is found in the history books, cementing Mulder as the patron saint of the paranormal and the curious. The X-Files mastered a unique way of telling stories that kept fans coming back for 9 original seasons. The episodes were generally divided into 2 categories. 1. Monster of the Week, These were standalone episodes. They explored urban legends, genetic mutations, or ghosts. One week they might be hunting a man who could squeeze through narrow air vents, and the next they might be looking for a prehistoric creature in a lake. These episodes were fun, scary, and easily accessible to casual viewers. 2. The myth arc. This was the mythology architecture of the show. These episodes dealt with the Grand Conspiracy, a shadow government known as the Syndicate, black oil that could possess humans, and a planned alien colonization of Earth. This serialized storytelling was revolutionary at the time and paved the way for the binge-watching culture we see today on streaming platforms. The impact of the show reached far beyond the television screen. Perhaps the most impressive legacy is the so-called Scully effect. According to some research, during the show's run, there was a massive surge in the number of women pursuing careers in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Because Dana Scully was presented as a high-achieving scientist and a hero, she broke the stereotype that science was a man's world. A 2018 study confirmed that nearly 2/3 of women working in STEM today who are fans of the show viewed Scully as a primary role model. The show also captured the pre-millennium tension of the 1990s. With the turn of the century approaching, people were naturally anxious about the future and distrustful of large institutions. The show's catchphrases, "Trust no one," "The truth is out there," and "I want to believe," became slogans for a generation that felt the world was more complex than it seemed. We cannot discuss The X-Files without mentioning its haunting atmosphere. The music, composed by Mark Snow, is iconic. The famous whistling theme song was actually created by accident, when Snow leaned his elbow on his keyboard with a Proteus whistle effect turned on. It became one of the most recognisable pieces of music in history, instantly evoking a sense of mystery and dread. Even after the original show ended in 2002, its DNA lived on. You can see its influence in Stranger Things, with its government conspiracies and supernatural monsters, or in Lost, with its deep, unfolding mysteries. The show returned for 2 revival seasons, in 2016 and 2018, proving that our fascination with the unexplained never truly dies. Whether you are a skeptic like Scully or a believer like Mulder, The X-Files reminds us to keep asking questions. It taught us that the world is a strange place, and sometimes the most terrifying monsters are the ones hiding in plain sight. It's quiz time. Click on the link posted in the comments and answer the questions to see how much you understand. Give us a like or leave a comment. Thanks for watching.